We investigated a materials acceleration platform, MAP in short, which combines experimental and computational capabilities. But the special thing about our map was that it combines these capabilities from different institutions which are spread across Europe. And we also had 2 optimizers working on the same infrastructure, so we could follow on 2 different research tasks on the same map with the same infrastructure. It depends on which scale you look at. So on pilot lines, they already use quite a high degree of automation, but at the earlier level of research, as we have it in our lab, it's not as common yet. This is why we're currently looking into these materials acceleration platforms. But there are several different teams working on these platforms for various applications. And in our case, it's a battery research application. So the Finalis framework is basically a web server that allows all the contributors to post requests or results to this server. From there, the other tenants, this is what we call the services that are connected to the map, can pull the requests, process them, and post them back. The special thing about Finalis is that it acts passive, so it does not actively push tasks or data to special tenants. It just collects all the inputs and provides access for all the tenants. And this has the big advantage that it does not require knowledge about the internal processes that are ongoing inside each tenant, which gives us a big flexibility to easily include new tenants and therefore new capabilities into our maps. So in our case, we used quite a variety of methods on the scientific perspective, because we had, as already mentioned, these 2 optimization tasks. One of them focused on the electrolyte formulation. So the electrolyte formulation was tuned such that we achieve a maximum ionic conductivity. The other task also tuned the electrolyte formulation, but with the goal of maximizing the end of life of a battery cell that used this electrolyte. And the end of life in this case means the number of charge and discharge cycles that a battery can perform before its capacity drops below a certain threshold. And to achieve these 2 goals, or to serve these 2 optimization tasks, we need a variety of methods. We, for example, used one device that could formulate the electrolytes and measure their conductivity. We also had a partner that did computational determination of ionic conductivity. But for this task of building coin cells, of course, we also needed our robot to assemble the coin cells. We also needed to cycle these coin cells, so test them. And in our case, we also used an early prediction model, which was provided by one of the partners, to shorten the time of experiments for the cycling. So we did not need to cycle until this end-of-life criterion was reached, but we could cycle for about 40 cycles, and then the model could predict the further development, and we could determine the end of life based on this prediction. So we found that we are capable of having different optimizers pursuing independent optimization tasks on the same research infrastructure. And we could connect these geographically distributed partners in our map. We also showed that although Finalis is passive, not actively pushing tasks anywhere, it is still possible to realize a workflow in this setup without breaking the logic of having all the communication centralized in Finalis. Of course, building larger and more complex maps with more challenging optimization tasks would be one of the goals. And some of the tenants which are linked to the devices in our laboratory could use some updates in user-friendliness. But one of the main goals for me personally would be to establish Finalis as an interface to our laboratory, such that our collaborators and partners can interface our lab through the Finalis framework, since it's also possible to interact with this server as a human researcher. This does not necessarily restrict the capabilities to only the automated steps, but we can also communicate data from our manual processes through this interface.